Hi, this is my showcase of robot tag. After after training for a while and fixing my reward function, I managed to make a really good pursuer robot, which can like chase a random walking evader and tag it 97% of the time. Uh, Using the so whenever the pursuer gets stuck, right now like I'm using a manual reversal function which was not learned through reinforcement learning. So I actually hard coded that behavior in for the robot to rescue itself whenever it gets stuck. But the pursuer, but the pursuing behavior itself and the obstacle avoidance was learned through obstacle avoidance. So I kind of apply the same kind of training. So I kind of fixed the pursuer reward function a little bit for the evader, and I started training an adversarial evader as well. So this is my video showcase of um, how it looks so far when they're playing a game of tag, when both of them are choosing the best actions at all times. So let's go ahead and run this. Robot tag. Yep. Let's go and start. So right now the evader is not really good because I found a couple bugs in my reward function that I use to train it. Well, that's what I get for copying code and just fixing it a little bit. And right now is the reward function for the evader is somewhat kind of unnecessarily complicated since I just copy it from the original reward function from the pursuer and tweak it a little bit is so the reason why the reward function for the pursuer is so complicated is because like we are essentially teaching the pursuer two conflicting objectives, right? So one objective is to avoid obstacle, but another objective is to get really close and tag the evader, which is technically an obstacle by itself. So you taught it to stay far away from things, but you also want it to get really close to this specific another thing. So that was why the reward function for the tagger was so complicated. But for the evader, technically speaking, the reward function does not need to be that complicated since what the evader is doing at all time is obstacle avoidance. It try to stay away from things regardless of whether or not that thing is a real obstacle or if that thing is the evader. So perhaps training it on uh, using a similar reward function to the pursuer is not really the best approach. So what you're seeing right now is the result of training the evader on the previous reward function that I use in the pursuer, but just tweak a little bit. So far it's not doing it's doing okay, but it's not like a great evader at all. So most of the time it still gets caught by the pursuer. Because I mean the pursuer is very good. So what I'm planning to do right now is to go back. So I went back and changed the reward function so that it just promotes more obstacle avoidance in general, regardless of whether or not that obstacle is a pursuer or an actual obstacle. I just try to stay far away from things and try to be in like an open area a lot more often. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You can see what is happening right here. So right now the evader is not really winning as much since the pursuer is really good. So how it works is that like if they are stuck right now, the manual rescue function kicks in and allow them to reverse and go backward and unstuck itself. So during that time, the other robot will stop moving. This has to do with some like kind of threading uh, racing condition, which so that's the reason why I stopped the. It's a little bit kind of complicated, but essentially the But essentially, I have what the robot that we are testing is running in the main thread, while the opponent is running in an opposite uh, thread, right? So so let's say while the opponent, which is running in a separate thread, is rescuing itself, and for some reason it it uh, it is taking a really long time to rescue itself, the main thread that is waiting for the opponent thread to join will not continue executing. So the current player's brain won't be computing new action. So the robot will keep redoing whatever action it got last. So therefore, and that could lead to a lot of bad consequences, since it keep going straight, or it keeps turning left, or using whatever uh, action it got last without any consideration for the environment. It will get stuck again. It will get stuck and hit an obstacle. So uh, because of that threading issue, I decided to, while we're waiting for one robot to rescue itself, the other robot will stop moving. So that's why you can see like the freezing, and the time that the robot spent rescuing itself will not be counted as part of the game time. Yeah, so my plan is right now is to go back and retrain the evader using the new reward function, so that it just learns to stay away from obstacle as a whole. Yeah, so you can see the manual reverse. So it's not quite good sometimes, since yeah, well, it technically got tagged there, but because it was doing the reversal function, it was doing the reversing time to unstuck itself, it didn't really count. Yeah, so as you can see, the evader is still not really good. It's still failing most of the time. So it still gets tagged most of the time by the really good pursuer. So well, I'm just gonna go back and retrain the evader on a better reward function essentially.